Silvernest. Wanted to thank Travis and Barbara Sullivan for the opportunity to be able to introduce Silvernest to more of our friends within the Village to Village network overall. We appreciate the opportunity, and we've had the privilege of working with villages for the last couple of years at this point. I had the opportunity to attend the national gathering in Baltimore last year, and then this year in San Diego, Janet Woodcutt as well as Wendy Burkhart, our CEO, had the opportunity to attend, and Wendy actually had the opportunity to present on the sharing economy. So we've appreciated those opportunities and really love our relationship with Village to Village networks and the villages. Over the last year as well, we've had the opportunity to work directly with several villages. So Capital City Village, Waterfront Village, Finney Neighborhood Association, Next Village San Francisco, Palos Verdes Peninsula Village. So we have really learned a lot from working within your communities, supporting your missions as well. So before I jump into a lot of the specifics about Silvernest, what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about how Silvernest came to be and the organization that we are today. And what I'll do at this point as well is I'm just going to set up my slide share. So I'm going to share my screen overall. And hopefully you're seeing the beginning of the slideshow.
Yes, we see it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. There we go. So, Silvernest is about 3.5 years old and was created by our co-founder, Wendy Burkhart, our co-founder and CEO. Wendy very much wanted to be here for this presentation. She sends her apologies. She was invited to participate in a conference, and she was unable to slip away at this particular time. So, she wanted to be here but couldn't. So apologies for that. Unfortunately, there was an unfortunate event in Wendy's life a few years ago. Her father had passed suddenly, and her father and her mother had been together since they were both teenagers. And so for the first time in her mom's adult life, she was living on her own. Wendy was in Denver. Her mother was in Atlanta, so there was distance between the two. And as Wendy and her mom were making their plan for next steps, her mom came up with the idea of a roommate as a possible solution. Wendy's mom was thinking about just having someone else in the home, someone to share some of the common, things of life. So sharing a meal, conversation, companionship. And as Wendy and her mom went down that path to find a roommate, they were able to find a roommate for her mom, and it was a really great situation for her mom. So it helped her through that next phase of life in a number of ways. And Wendy started to think about the opportunity and think about all the folks that wanted to continue to age within their community, would benefit from having that companionship. And that was really the beginning of Silvernest. So we have started from that place. We've built our business over the course of the last 3.5 years. And now we have the opportunity to support individuals with home sharing really across the country. So who is Silvernest? Well, we are a roommate matching and house sharing service for the young at heart with space to share. We work with homeowners that have extra room in their home. Call it a spare bedroom, could be a basement space, etc. And we help them put that space out for rent, and then we bring qualified renters on the other side to rent that space to help them home share. And we'll get into more of the specifics in terms of how we do that in a little bit. So when we get to talk with folks in the community that we serve, here are the benefits that they tell us they receive from home sharing. The first thing is added security. So for a lot of folks, it just feels better to have someone else in the home with them. So in hours where they're not in the home specifically, or just to have another person there in the event that something, God forbid, might happen. There's just that added security of having someone else there in the home with them. Companionship is another main reason why people like home sharing as well. So it's that ability to have someone else in the home, to share those experiences. We know, from various studies, just the toll that aging and isolation takes on individuals. And so the ability to have someone else there to share those experiences is a big benefit for many of the homeowners that we serve. And the third area that we hear from the folks we get to serve is extra income. Aging and longevity is a gift, but it also can be expensive as we grow older. So for many folks, having that extra income to be able to use that income to pay for additional services that they may need to stay in their home with a high quality of life longer, or to do more of the things that they want to do, is a real benefit for many folks. So one of the things that has really helped us as we get the word out about home sharing has been the growth of the sharing economy overall. So if I were to say to folks on the call, 5 years ago, would you feel comfortable with calling a car from your phone and having a stranger show up and getting in the back of that car to get a ride somewhere else? You might say that would feel a little uncomfortable. But with the advent of services like Uber, Lyft, it's very commonplace for us to use those shared services. Same thing with an Airbnb or VRBO. It's becoming very comfortable for folks to understand the assets that they have, be it a house or a car, maybe it's skills that you have, and being able to offer those out to others who need them to be able to generate income off of those skills and assets. So as the sharing economy has grown, more and more people are getting comfortable. And in fact, we find with a service like Airbnb, the fastest growing segment of Airbnb hosts are folks that are 50 and older. And in fact, those are the ones that get the highest ratings from visitors as well. As adults are aging, they're finding the use for these different services. And so that's helped us. It's helped us help individuals understand how if you have this home and you have extra space, this is why home sharing could be a good solution for you. So our Silvernest team is based in Denver, but we also have teammates that are across the country. So the team that we built is a combination of folks that have experience in the private sector, as well as the public sector, building a variety of different organizations. So on the left on the slide is Wendy Burkhart. She is our CEO and co-founder. I mentioned earlier, her story was really the genesis for Silvernest. And she leads us every day with a very strong technology background in terms of growing companies. Kelly Hickey is another one of our co-founders. She's our chief financial officer. Kelly has a very strong background in real estate. So she's played different roles, including with RE/MAX, helping grow that business. So she comes to Silvernest with a very strong background in real estate overall. Janet Woodka, our VP of Partnerships, has a very strong policy background. She had the opportunity to work in the Obama White House, has served in various roles within housing, including the rebuilding of New Orleans after Katrina. So she has that very strong policy background, and she brings that to help us build that on the Silvernest side. Jason Cole is our Chief Technology Officer. As we'll talk about, we run our service off of our website with other support around it. So technology is a very important part of what we do. Jason has a very strong background in building technology companies, so he keeps us strong there. And I'm on the right, Mike Emerson, I've grown a variety of businesses, and within operations, one of the most important roles I have is making sure that everyone that comes onto the Silvernest platform, every homeowner and renter, has a great experience, and we deliver that through customer service, through our touch, as well as making sure that our website is as easy to use for everyone. We've had the good fortune to have received recognition from several different organizations and news outlets over the course of the last several years. Some of them are very well known kind of nationally, if you will, places like Aging 2.0, AARP and the Innovation 50 Plus. We've also had the opportunity to have been covered by many different press outlets, including CNBC, the New York Times, etc. So we appreciate their support, and we believe we have their support because they see us doing innovative things within the housing sector to help aging adults maintain and improve quality of life. So I'm about to transition to how Silvernest works, what we do and how we do it. But before I do that, are there any questions that I can answer about Silvernest overall? Okay, then we'll move forward. So how does Silvernest work? Well, to deliver our value to our customers, we really have to be good at these 5 different steps. So the first step is when we work with a homeowner or a housemate, a renter, they come on to our service and they create a profile. So they come in, we ask them 3 sets of questions if they're a homeowner. The first set of questions is around personal information, their name, phone number, address, date of birth. We use some of that information for our matching process, but we also use that information for our ID verification process. So the first layer of security, and we'll talk about security at every step here with Silvernest, is ID verification. We make sure that every person that comes on our platform is who they say they are. Very important to us to make sure that the folks within our community are legitimate with the right intentions overall. We also do not share any of that personal information externally. That's only for our use, ID verification, and to contact folks. The second area of creating a profile is all about what you're looking for in a roommate. So we ask a variety of questions around. Some things are more functional. So would you allow a smoker in your house? Do you have a pet? Would you allow pets? Those types of matching questions. But we also ask personal questions as well. We ask questions around, is there a preferred age of a renter? Is there a preferred gender identification of a renter? Does religion matter? And if so, which religion? And we can ask those personal questions because the relationship that we're helping to build here is a home sharing relationship as opposed to a renter kind of tenant landlord situation. Because we are helping place renters into someone's home, we can ask them those personal questions and we can match people based on those personal preferences overall. The third area of questions we ask the homeowner is around the space that they're looking to rent out. So we are a listing service, and as part of that listing service, we share pictures of the home, we ask them to describe the home, we ask the amenities of the home in the space, so potential renters can see that on the other side to generate interest in the space they're looking to rent. Once that listing is created, and generally that's a 10 to 15 minute process for most homeowners when they come on the service, is the matching process. So once folks come into the service, we match them based on the criteria they gave us in terms of what they're looking for in a roommate. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a second, and I'll show you what that process looks like. The third area, once folks have messaged back and forth and they start to find a good match, we build background checks directly into our platform. So that's another very important part of our security layer within Silvernest. It's very easy to request a background screen on the other party to make sure that there's nothing in their background that would be concerning as you're moving into a living relationship. Once you're through that background screen process, we believe it's very important when you're looking to move into a place and begin that relationship, that that relationship is documented with an agreement. So we have built lease templates into the Silvernest platform that allows a homeowner and a housemate to set up a lease agreement just to make sure everything is documented from the start. And then finally, once folks have signed into that lease and they're moving in together, we then have a series of services we offer, including automatic rent payments and other conveniences to make sure that that relationship is a good one and it's an easy one for both the homeowner and housemate. So let's talk a little bit about those various steps, and I've included some screenshots from our website to help you understand how those 5 things we just talked about express themselves within the experience for a homeowner. So the first step is for someone to sign up. So when they come into the Silvernest website, we encourage them to sign up for our service. They can do that by providing an email and a password. And we also ask them if they have a room to fill, which means they're a homeowner, or if they need a room, which means they're a renter. Once they move through that step, then they go into the profile building process. This is where we ask questions so we can build their profile. As I mentioned earlier, for a homeowner, that's the personal information, the roommate preference information, and then the listing information for that space. Once that listing then, once that profile has been completed, the homeowner then comes into what we call their dashboard. So in this example we've set up, this is a homeowner profile, and we've set up the profile for Betty owner. So she's a homeowner in this case. And what we find with Betty is she's come into her dashboard, and as soon as her listing is done, what we do is we reach out into our community of active renters and we let them know that we have a new listing. So what you see in the middle of the slide, right here with 57-year-old female, 61-year-old male, 71-year-old female, these are renters out in our community that have been notified about this new listing. They've reviewed the listing and they've actually shown interest in Betty's space that she's renting. So in this way, what we can do is once the listing is out there, we can deliver these potential matches back to a homeowner, and that homeowner then gets some basic information about that person. Are they a 57-year, we have the age, we have the gender, but then we also have the match. So an 83% match in this first case, 100% match with the 61-year-old male, and 100% match with the 71-year-old female. And in that way, what we can do is we can help that homeowner understand how compatible they are with these potential renters on the other side. So at this step then, we ask our homeowner then to sign up for our membership. So in that top box, the first step is a one-time payment from a homeowner for a 60-day membership of $49.99. And what that payment gets them is unlimited matching. So the process, we continue to bring folks within the community that are looking for a place to live to that homeowner for matches. Unlimited messaging, which we'll talk about in a bit, that's the ability to communicate back and forth with those matches, and the ability to request background screens for as many potential renters as they'd like on our platform. The next layer of services we have are monthly subscriptions, And those come into play as an option, so they're not required through our service, but they're optional. And that's as a homeowner gets close to a match and actually gets into matching with a renter. These are services that are designed to help them as they move into that sharing relationship. So that's where things like our lease come into play, the ability to create a lease, the ability to start automatic rent payments, the ability to relist their property in the future. But the first step is that 60-day membership for $49.99. At that point, it unlocks the profiles of the individuals. So now we're with Betty once again, and now she knows that her 83% match was with a renter named Jill R. And she can learn more about that renter as well by looking at the profile. She also now has the opportunity to message. So all initial messaging back and forth between a homeowner and a potential renter happens within our platform, and we do that for security reasons. In that way, we're not sharing email addresses or phone numbers of each individual. We want to make sure that that information stays anonymous so it's not out there for the general population to see. So in this case, Betty sends a message to a potential renter, Jill. Jill then will respond back to Betty, the owner. Say, hey, I'm interested in your place, let's talk more about it. And what we generally see is there's probably 3 or 4 messages back between an owner and a renter until folks decide they want to take the conversation into the real world. So we are talking about living together. You're going to want to get on the phone and speak to one another. You're going to want to meet potentially at a coffee shop and meet live just to see what the relationship is like. But the point is that that personal information is not shared between the parties until they choose to share it. So the information isn't out there. It's only given up when each individual, feels comfortable to do it one-on-one. Once there's that comfort level through the messaging, the next step is background screening. So this is the opportunity for Betty, the owner, to request a background screen on the renter. So it's very easy to do that. It's one click from our system. Our background screen includes the following. There's a national and county criminal records check, a sex offender registry check. We do a more detailed identity verification based on social security number. We do a 5-year evictions record check. And we also have added a global watch list check, which essentially is a terror watch list check. So in this way, we're trying to provide as much information on the other person's background as possible so folks can decision on that to see if they're a good fit. So once that background screen has been completed and the homeowner and the housemate find a good match, well, that's when we move to the lease creation process. So we've built our lease creation into our platform. We use an automated system called DocuSign that many of you may utilize. And in that way, what we do is we allow a homeowner and a renter to work through a series of questions. So we've created a templated lease. We have it state specific. So we've worked with our legal counsel to take into account differences in terms of state regulations. And it's specifically designed for home sharing. So a homeowner can go in and enter the information around the rent, the length of time for the lease, any specific lease terms they want to add. And once they give us that information on a form, we put it into our templated lease to allow both parties to easily create a lease. And then once that lease has been created, then we move on to any additional services that may be of value to them, like automatic rent payments, as mentioned. That's a bank-to-bank transfer, that you might use to pay your gas bill, etc. But essentially, that takes away awkward rent conversations for a homeowner having to ask a renter for for the rent every month. Just on the first of the month, it just happens. And other services that we've created as well. We have a service called Home Sharing Harmony, which is a counseling service to help folks that are home sharing start the relationship off on the right foot. And if they run into any bumps along the way, to help them work through those. We've created another service that we call Legal Concierge, which offers legal advice to individuals around home sharing issues as they may encounter them. So in this way, we try to create the right set of services to help folks as they move into that home sharing relationship, make the most of it and have as great an experience as possible. So we've had the good fortune to be able to create over 64,000 matches between homeowners and housemates to date. And we've had that opportunity across the country. So, you know, at this point, we are still learning every day from our customers, and we appreciate every one of them and the opportunity to work with them. And we've really enjoyed the opportunity to create to create home sharing opportunities for folks across the country. So that's my presentation. Are there any questions?
Doesn't look like anything in the chat box, Mike.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Travis, for setting this up and giving us the opportunity. We appreciate every opportunity we've had with villages to date, and we look forward to being able to serve more of you as we move forward.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Really informative.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And again, this will be recorded. This is recorded, and I'll post it on the website. So take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.